Before getting into solving systems of linear equations using substitution, we're going to review a couple of problems that we have learned in the past. So this first one, we have variables on both sides of the equal sign. So we're going to draw our line, and we're going to get this variable on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides to get the x's on the same side. So 4x minus 3x is 1x. That plus 2 drops down, and that equals 9 on the other side after the 3x's cancel. Then I'm going to subtract 2 from each side, and that 1x drops down, and 1x is the same thing as just x, so x equals 7. So that was a quick review of solving when variables are on both sides. And then example 2 for the review is something that we did just before we started lesson 6, topic 6, where we're going to take this x equals 4, and we're going to plug that 4 in for the x and solve for y. So I'm going to have y equals 3 times 4 plus 2. So that's y equals 12 plus 2, and therefore y equals 14. So we're going to be using these skills when we solve linear equations, systems of linear equations, using substitution. So as you can see on your paper, we have a list of steps that we're going to go through to solve a system using substitution. And the first step is to identify the isolated variable. That means the variable that's all by itself on one side of the equation. So right here I have my system, and I notice that y is all by itself. That's the isolated variable. So I'm going to circle the isolated variable y. And step 2 says circle anything that's equivalent or equal to the variable you circled in step 1. So since I circled the y, I'm going to circle this y. So that's the obvious one to circle. But I also want to circle anything that is equal to y, so I notice that here y is equal to 2x plus 4. So I'm going to circle the 2x plus 4 as well, since it equals y. And then step 3 says we can replace anything we circled with anything else we circled. So I can put this y in this circle. I can put the 2x plus 4 in this circle. Basically, anything I circled is equal to each other, so I can replace it. This is called substitution. So I'm going to substitute 2x plus 4 into this equation and solve. Now, it's kind of hard to see with my writing. The original problem was x minus y equals negative 6. So since I circled the y, I'm going to replace that with something else I circled, that 2x plus 4. So now I have x minus what I circled. So I have 2x plus 4, and it's going to be very important to put those parentheses there, equals negative 6. Now, if I remember from earlier this year, I have a minus sign in front of parentheses, so I have to distribute the minus sign to both things. I'm going to keep add opposite, so I'm going to change that to be plus. Right here, I'm going to change it to be a plus a negative 1 in front. And so I'm going to distribute a negative 1 to the 2x and a negative 1 to the 4. So the resulting expression down here is x plus negative 2x plus negative 4 is equal to negative 6. And then I'm going to simply solve using my algebra skills. So 1x plus negative 2x is negative 1x. And then I have plus negative 4, which is the same thing as minus 4, equals negative 6. I draw my line. I add 4 to both sides. So I have negative 1x is equal to negative 2. And then I divide both sides by negative 1. And that gives me x equals a positive 2. So I have completed step 4, where I solved the resulting equation for the variable. Now I take that answer, x equals 2, and I use it up here to find the y value. And I can use it in either equation. In this one, it's easier to use it on the top one. So I plug in x equals 2 to that equation. Y equals 2x plus 4. So I'm going to plug in y equals 2 times this 2 value that I got for x. I plug that in. So 2 times 2 plus 4. So I get y equals 4 plus 4. So that means y equals 8. Now remember, a solution to a system is a point x, y. So what I've just done is I've found the solution, and the solution is the x value first, 2, and the y value, 8. So that is my solution to the system. So I want to make sure you know that this right here is the solution to the system for example 1. Let's do that practice problem next. So in this practice problem, I'm going to identify a variable that's all by itself, which in this case is the y. So I'm going to circle the y, and I'm going to circle anything that's equal to y. So that's going to be y. It's going to be 6x minus 2. It's going to be y. And it's going to be 3x plus 7. So in this problem, I'm circling everything. So anything I put in one circle, I can put in any other circle. So this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 6x minus 2 in for this circle, and then I can solve it like that first review problem I had. So now I'm going to put 6x minus 2 in for that y value. So I get 6x minus 2 is equal to 3x plus 7. And I'm going to draw my line and solve. So I want to get the x's on the same side first. So subtract 3x from both sides. We get 3x minus 2 is equal to 7. These cancel. I add 2 to both sides. So now I have 3x equals 9. And then I divide both sides by 3. So x equals 3 is my answer for x. Once I get my x value, I take that x and I go back to one of the two original problems right here, and I find my y. So I'm going to take this equation right up top here. I'm going to copy it down over here, y equals 6x minus 2. And I'm plugging in this x equals 3 for the x there. So I get y equals 6 times 3 minus 2. So y equals 18 minus 2, which means y equals 16. And therefore, my solution, or my answer, is 316. Make sure you remember the first number that you put is the x, and the second number is the y.